All right. Hey, we are live. Welcome, everybody, to Ren's Training Camp Journal.
Sure.
I think, presented by the Pewtercast. I am Brent Allen. I will be your host for the next, 45 minutes, hour and 50, however long this takes us. Because this is the Pewtercast.
Till we're done.
Till we're done. Yeah, you guys will be with us till we're done. I am Brent Allen. I'm joined, as always, by my good buddy, the orange Bucko Bruce wearing, and you should see this guy's shorts, Ren Daxt. Ren, how are we doing today, buddy?
Great. Thanks for asking. This was a day that we've been looking forward to for a few years, actually. I've mentioned before that there's lots of our listeners and followers and probably even tens of thousands of more Buck fans out there that would give just about anything to do what we got to do today. Yeah. So it's a very special day for me, very special day for Brent, very special day for the Pewtercast.
Yeah. And what Ren is talking about is today, and actually we have tomorrow as well. Ren and I have the good fortune, I suppose, to have been actually credentialed as media member. I'm going to show this to you guys right here. That's it. That's the official media credentials. And
half official.
It's
no picture, Sharpied.
It is. It's yes. The really official people actually have their picture and their names and where they're from printed on there. But I tell you what, I will keep this forever.
Yeah.
This will forever be a souvenir for sure of this day. And it will kind of go up as that, some people put the first dollar earned in a frame. This will be the first media credential framed as we continue down this journey. But we have been here. We are here at training camp. It is obviously it's here in the afternoon. And what we're going to get to do is kind of, guys, walk you through. There is some stuff that you guys are going to hear with us today that you're not going to hear from anywhere else. Some of those things are exclusive player interviews that we got to have today with Ali Marpet and Mike Evans. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. We'll talk about that. Ren, you're going to tell us about the press conferences with Dirk Cutter and Djax. I have not gotten ready to hear exactly what happened over there. I hear working, eating beef stroganoff because the Buccaneers provided lunch for us today.
They did. Because when we walked in, I'll tweet this picture out later. There's this big board and it says like Bucks Media Day, and it's a whiteboard and there's a magic marker on there, and it says who we're getting for official press conferences at Dirk Cutter and Deshaun Jackson.
Right.
And then later it said at 12:30, which might have been the favorite part of my day, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's certainly the most unique part of your day.
Yeah. We the officials are here. If you listen to Dirk Cutter's last press conference, he said they're going to be here for 5 days, and they were here. And we got to go and sit in. We watched a 10-minute video on the rule changes. But the best part after that, we got to, and not just us, of course, whoever wanted to go in the media was there, got to ask questions to the referees, like actual referees.
Yeah. Ed Hockley's son was the
Sean
Hockley. Yeah. He was kind of, I guess, the lead official here today.
He was the ref.
Yeah,
he was the ref. So, but the whole 7-man squad was here. And so we got to ask them questions and so sort of nitpick because it's such a gray area with the catch rule, with the new helmet rule. So,
the new whistle rule, the new ejection rule, and we're going to get into all of that, guys. I promise you, stick with us. We're going to get into all of that. So, hey, real quick, I want to say a big shout out to everybody who is joining us on YouTube. We are live streaming on YouTube as we have been. You guys on YouTube may notice a little bit of an upgrade that we've had here. This actually feels like we're in a studio, Ren.
We are in a studio, Brent.
We are in a studio. Where we are right now, this is the room where if, say, Gerald McCoy, Ali Marpet, any of those guys are going to go on like NFLnetwork.com or something like that. This is the room they come in and they kind of feed into that particular station. And we're looking, they've got their little swivel camera there, and they've got the microphone and earpiece over here on the floor next to me. And obviously there's the big backdrop. So don't expect to see this going forward. However, Ren, we may be making some changes to our own personal shoes because this is nice.
It only looks like it's held up by a couple of bolts.
Yeah.
Do we really need to come back tomorrow?
We like it. No. It's nice.
No,
it's nice.
Of course it's staying.
Yes.
Of course it's staying. We would never do it. Just talk about it out loud.
Yes. Yes, we would Never, ever, ever. All right. So let's get on with that. So YouTube guys, I want to say hi to you guys. Everyone who is joining us later on the podcast feed. Of course, the vast majority of people are going to watch this on the podcast feed later. Several of you are actually going to watch the video feed later. So have fun with that. But hello to everybody out there. And one real quick shout out, one special shout out. Ren, we have a brand new patron.
Yes.
Dimash has jumped into the Patreon realm here, supporting the Pewtercast, helping everything happen here. So,
which from now on they'll be known as Pewties.
They will not.
That's me shaking my head.
That's me shaking my head. No.
What do you have against the word Pewties? You don't want the mini Lombardis to be called the Pewties.
I think I'm actually okay with the mini Lombardis being called the Pewties.
So basically, you're taking the less of two evils. So now I have to come up with another nickname?
Yes, you have to come up with another nickname.
Ren's Army.
By the way, one of our patrons actually already said, no, we're not supposed to. They said they rejected the name.
I think you read that wrong because you're so down. I think it said it was the best name ever, and Rendex is super cool. That's how I read it.
All right, our dog.
That's another two. So, we won't get into that.
Anyway, guys. So shout out to you guys. By the way, being a patron does have its privileges. We are going to talk about the player interviews that we had later, but it's only on Patreon that we're actually going to put up the actual audio from those interviews. So our patrons, you guys be on the lookout for that.
The Pewties.
The patrons, you guys be on the lookout.
The Pewty Army. Dumbledore's Army.
Oh, wow.
The Pewty Army.
Well, I will tell you, one of our interviews did have something to do with Harry Potter. We'll get into that later. All right, Ren, let's start off, man. Sure. We're here at practice. It's certainly the main thing that we're here to do. The main thing that the Buccaneers are here to do is to get into practice. We've kind of been following the narratives. We've been following the threads of the stories that are kind of developing here. And by stories, guys, I don't mean stuff that people are making up or that have an agenda that they're trying to push. We're talking about us fans and what's actually happening on the field and the storylines of what are going to develop over the course of the season as far as players, as far as football goes, and those kinds of things. I would say mostly those storylines continued today.
For sure.
I don't think any of those, and we'll get into that. But why don't you kind of take us through and let's talk about practice. Let's talk about how things went today.
Really? Don't you want to start like how we got here? Like our experience getting our badges.
So when a man and a woman fall in love, and sometimes they're not even in love. Sometimes
here we go.
Not that starting. Okay.
They have a little Pewty.
This is a PG-13 show. All right. No. Okay, that's fine. So we drive across town, and we get up at stupid o'clock in the morning.
6 a.m.
We saw the sun coming up across the bay as we're driving across the Howard Franklin. I did take a picture. I was very safe. I was not driving at 60, 75 miles an hour, taking this picture. And it was beautiful coming over the bay. And nice we pull up to the stadium and we kind of say, hey, let's go take a look at these big banners that are supposed to be up that does not feature a particular player.
Who?
And Jameis sitting up there.
I hadn't heard that.
You hadn't heard that?
Has that been on
Is
Twitter?
That news?
Has that been on Twitter?
Just one or two places.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. It's really not.
I must have missed that 5 minutes.
Yeah. No, he's got something else. Anyway, guys, I got to tell you, these banners, I know Greg Allman, he tweeted out the pictures of at least two of them. I'm not sure if he got the other two that went up a different day.
Right.
But I forgot how impressive and how big these things are.
Yeah. They're easy 4 stories high.
Yeah. Like, I don't think banner is the appropriate word for what these things are. These are,
I think he called them murals.
Murals, yeah, it's something. I don't exactly know what, but man, they're huge.
They're huge,
and they're nice. They're nice looking, yeah.
And they have Kraken tentacles on.
Tentacles. So Ren has a theory. A lot of people are a little dismayed over the new Buccaneer logos and kind of what they're putting out there.
The wavy lines.
The wavy lines.
Kraken tentacles.
A lot of people are calling them tentacles. Ren is one of them. Because think they might be tentacles. They might not be though, but whatever. So we kind of drove around.
That's what I should have asked Sean Hockley about if those wavy lines were Kraken tentacles.
And is that a penalty if they are?
Yeah, right. So what's the penalty for terrible season slogan? Hashtag wreak havoc.
Wreak havoc.
No, actually, I like that slogan much better than last year's.
Then seize the day. We've had siege the day for a couple of years.
Yeah,
I was glad.
And before that, what was before that?
It's a Buc's life.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah,
that's bad because now it just means like.
Yeah.
You know, Chef has adopted that and turned it into.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this bad thing happened. It's Buc's life.
Right. So Buck Luck, I think, is a lot of what
Luck. That's what he does. Buck Luck. Okay, my bad.
So anyway, hey, what's up, Chef? These things are really impressive. We actually tried to pull into like the one side. I think it's the one with Cam Brate, maybe.
No,
Levante David.
It was GMAC. No. It was Levante David.
Yeah,
right.
It was one of those two guys, and the security guard was like, "No, you can't come here and take pictures." And I'm like, "This thing's
apparently
50 feet tall. How do I not? How can you prevent me from taking a picture?" He's like, "You can't be on the ground. You can't be here." He had some sort of island accent.
Was that what that was? I thought that was Dieter from Saturday Night Live.
So anyway,
apparently Michael Myers is falling on a really hard time.
Yeah, so
he's working the gate.
Essentially, Ren and I just went to another corner and got out of the car and walked around.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah, whatever. So we did that, and then we came in and we kind of pulled into the RV parking lot. And guys, let me tell you what, the weather this morning was beautiful.
It was nice.
This was great. And we had actually kind of said, we did a little live video this morning. We said, this is no way this is going to last.
And by we, you mean you?
Yes. And guys, let me tell you what, it lasted and it was great. The weather all day today, you almost don't want to talk about it because you don't want to jinx it.
Because it was like that Monday as well, the day they had off.
Yeah.
It was down here. I know you were in Jacksonville, but it was like that as well. And it wouldn't exactly call it overcast,
right?
But it was heavily clouded.
Yeah,
and I think the sun came out and peeked through the clouds for like 5 minutes total.
Yeah.
And there was a nice breeze.
Yeah,
it was a really good day.
Good day for football. It was really good. Not your typical July 31st day.
Yeah.
In Central Florida, for sure.
It wasn't like Sunday.
Right.
It was not like Sunday for the first open practice.
Right. So anyway, that kind of sets the stage, I guess. We come in, we picked up our media badges. We set our stuff down in the media room because now we have desks.
We were the first ones here. What a shock.
Yeah.
As we're going across the bridge at sunup.
Right. And I guess we get from there and practice. We go out and practice. Guys are already out there milling around and
we're hanging out in the media room. Trevor actually got in before us. I mean, actually got in the door. We were here first, but we couldn't get in. He got on the door before us, and we're sitting in there, and and other people started to pile in. Pat Donovan from WDA piled in, and then the usual role of players. I think Almond was next, and then Jenna and Scott and Mark and all them.
I was having a conversation with Trevor about Mike Smith and the defensive line from last year.
Right.
When big guy walks in and Trevor turns.
It was Will Clark.
That's Will Clark.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Will Clark. Yeah. And I had just talked about, who'd we have? We had, look at all these second-rate players we had. We had
that rush defense was so terrible last year.
Right.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Mike Smith, man, he just didn't have the horses. I mean, the defense outside of Gerald McCoy, everybody was sucked. Oh, hi, Will. What's up, buddy?
Hey.
Leading sacker for the team last year.
From defensive ends.
Right. So.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was pretty funny. But yeah, as you say, we got in there, sort of said our hellos, and then we walked out onto the practice field. And most of the players were out there, but practice hadn't started yet. They were just loosening their arms and legs and things like that. But I don't really know where to go from here after that, because if you've listened to this, Ren's training camp journals before,
this is the part where it gets repetitive.
This is where practice started.
That's the downfall to a show like this, because practice is, guess what?
Hey, guess what they did?
Practice. Guess what? They did position drills, and then they did situational drills. At some point, they did 11 on 11s, and then they broke and they did stuff without helmets, and then they did
some special teams today. They did some kickoff, some punt coverage.
I will tell you something I noticed just from a spectator standpoint. This was not a day that was open. There were not a lot of people here. It was mostly media and what they called VIPs. I think you called it Alumni Day.
I got that from Gene Deckerhoff.
Alumni Day.
That's why players like, by the way, Warren Sapp was here.
Right.
Okay. I saw Kenny Gant.
Kenny Gant was here. Yeah.
And you could tell there were some other people that were Buck players, but since, unlike Kenny Gant, they weren't nice enough to wear an embroidered shirt with their name on it.
Right. You could definitely tell people knew each other and were kind of seeing each other again for the first time in a while. And
but as far as like being crowded, no, there's probably 50 people total.
Outside of the media or including the media?
I'm talking about the alumni area.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there wasn't much. So
yeah. Let's do that again.
There was let's not.
Okay.
There were a few player families, like Will Golston's family was here, his mom and brother. Fitzpatrick's family was here. Joe McCoy's family was here. I think Candy's family. Yeah. So lots of family and friends they're around. But as you said, it's really not that much. So I say all of that to say there just wasn't a lot of people here. It was mostly the media guys. And there was one point right as position drills started, tight ends were kind of over here and the quarterbacks were here. And right over here was the defensive line. And I turned and there was no media guys. Everybody was kind of spread out on this side. Very, very few people to my right. But if you turn over to your left, there were 3, 4, 5 cameras, lots of media guys sitting on the ground. I took a picture and kind of tweeted these two side by side. Brentson Buckner is magnetic.
It's fun to watch, man.
He is fun to watch. I know we keep saying that. I know we keep hearing that for those of you guys at home. He's just fun to watch. And I mean, I was drawn over there myself.
Yeah.
You know, and just sitting and watching him, and man, he's getting in people's butts. But as much as one thing I noticed, as much as he's yelling at people and digging at people, he's also building them up.
Yeah.
And when they them up. Exactly. And like when they do the right thing, he's telling them that's the right thing. Keep doing that. You know, and he's having his guys, you see a lot of it. Gerald McCoy, JPP, a lot of these guys, Ben Curry, especially the veterans, are explaining what to, like, they're coaching up their fellow players.
Right.
Like it's really this kind of team effort. And I think that's just part of I don't ever recall seeing that much players coaching players last year.
Right.
And so I don't know if that's just part of the new culture that Buckner has kind of brought in, or if that's part of the players that we have now are turning around to do that.
Right. Or we might not just noticed it.
Or we might not have noticed it. He's very right about that. So it was very cool. There was I'll try to put out some videos and stuff on that. You guys can check that out. So Ren, I guess we just kind of go through it. What did you see? Who popped out at you? What, you know, positive or negative, one way or the other? What did you see while you were out at camp today?
Well, I was putting out a lot of videos today.
Yeah.
So if you go to on Twitter, go to @Rendaxt, REN_DAXT. You know, I got a lot of feedback and retweets today, because you know a lot of our listeners and followers knew we were coming today.
Sure.
So they made sure that you know they were on their game and seeing what we were putting out there. So I didn't really take a lot of notes because a lot of my notes today were the tweets.
Sure.
But, you know, it's sort of like the usual cast of characters, you know, Chris Godwin, again, just like he just gets open.
Yeah.
And he just catches the ball.
Right.
And it doesn't matter who's covering him. You know, it doesn't matter who's throwing to him. Like he hooked up numerous times. I think he caught more balls than anybody today.
You think so?
Every time I looked up, it was Chris Godwin who was catching the ball.
Yeah.
Like almost every time. Which was good to see because he was sort of, especially since training camp officially started, it seemed to be the Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson show.
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
And people, you know, you're always hearing about Chris Godwin, especially you heard it in OTAs and minicamp. But today I think was the first day where all this praise that you're hearing, you could actually finally like see it,
right?
You know, translate to the field.
Yeah.
So of course he looked great. You know, and then there's just a couple of, you know, things that popped out, and these are just individual things. Like one time, Jameis throwing to OJ Howard and was a little bit behind him, and Darius Glanton was closing,
right?
And sort of they collided all at the same time. The ball, Howard and Glanton got there all at the same time, but you don't really understand how big OJ Howard is until you stand next to him,
right?
And you know, Darius
and his new blonde hair,
and well, he had
you can't tell him the helmet, but yeah, after practice I was like, whoa, that's blonde.
The rumors are true.
Yeah.
But you know, Darius Glanton just sort of bounced off him.
Yeah.
And Howard made the catch and turned upfield, you know, for a big gain.
Right. I think I saw some sort of stat that OJ Howard last year was like one of the top receiving tight ends in the league, like for a rookie or something like that. Or one of the top receiving tight ends, period. Or I don't know. It was some good stat. Like OJ Howard, he's good.
Yeah,
Go figure.
Exactly.
He's
and then you know, just imagine if he was the only tight end target on the team.
Yeah.
But we have. I just saw one yesterday where they ranked the top tight ends. PFF did.
Yeah.
And Cameron Brate came in 7th.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And Cam Brate certainly was showing out. You know, as well. I think the first thing we saw, as usual, if you guys follow along, tight ends usually are the first ones out on the field. And when we walked out to the field, the tight ends were right in front of us.
Yeah.
Going through their drills.
Yeah, they're always the first out. First out.
Right.
But I guess we could talk about, you know, sort of the big news about how this calf strain that might not be a big deal. With Vita Vea. Yeah. I mean, he's in a full boot up to the
he's in an air cast
up
right
to
now.
his knee.
Yeah.
And then he's got one of those
kneeling scooters, which, by the way, if you guys follow the Pewtercast Twitter account, I actually grabbed a picture of that and put that out there so you guys can see that on the Twitter account. He's hobbling along. There was at one point somebody said, "Oh, that poor scooter," and I heard somebody said that actually out on the field. Somebody said it on Twitter too, but somebody said something to that effect on the field. And Vita looked up and he said, "Hey, what you mean? I'm skinny." I'm skinny. Like, I think Jenna Lane was standing there and she went, "You're skinny."
Your accents are off today.
It's true. It's I didn't sleep a whole lot last night.
But for those of us, you know, who were you know, this still could be just cautious. Now, I haven't seen Dirk Cutter's interview, and that was the first question, and I sort of walked up at the end of it. And from what I can from what I this might not be 100% accurate. From what I got is it's going. He's not going to be back tomorrow. And he might, you know, and I really wouldn't look for him to be back preseason week 1.
Okay.
You know, I would start as a Bucs fan bracing myself for maybe not seeing Vita Vea
this year.
No.
I mean, is he going to turn into our red shirt this year?
No. I actually talked with Trevor about that. We talked about who our red shirts are going to be, who we think that they're going to be. No, I was saying week 1 against the Saints. Like, that might be the next time we sort of see Vive out on the field.
Sure.
Like, he might practice a little bit, sort of like maybe after this is just all speculation, but in my head and the Cutter's tone, I would think he's probably not going to even practice till after the second preseason game, but he won't play in the preseason games. And like, in the first action he gets, you know, will be in New Orleans.
It's going to be live action.
That's sort of the feeling I get. You know, obviously that's not that's not official.
Right.
It's not very scientific, but as far as like, oh, you know, it's just a little calf strain, he'll be back in a couple of days, that doesn't seem to be the case. But Brent Grimes is also out today. Vernon
Hargreaves, I don't think was he back?
He was back.
Is he back? Vernon Hargreaves was back. Yeah, Brent Grimes was out. Didn't even notice that he wasn't there, but you know, when you're at field level staring at 90 guys, it's hard to account for every single person until you start getting individual drills.
When you're covering the team, you know, like we were today, instead of just sort of being a fan in the stands and just looking around and seeing what's interesting, you have to have a plan.
Yeah.
Like, this is who I'm going to look at today, or the first time they go 11 on 11, I'm going to watch this. You know, I'm going to see which defensive backs are in for first team, second team, third team, or defensive line. You can't just, because as we've said before, I think you even said it last pod, they change out so quickly and so often. It's nearly impossible to keep up with who's coming on the field and who's getting off the field, because they're not coming from the sidelines. They're just like taking like 5 steps forward.
Right.
You know, and
because like the rest of the team is just like, here's the line of scrimmage and the players, and the rest of the team is standing right behind them.
Yeah, they're like 10 yards behind the quarterback. Yeah. And so they just sort of mingle all together, and they're all the same size, and they're all dressed the same. So, excuse me. You definitely have to have a plan.
Welcome to live video, folks.
You're welcome for that. So you definitely have to have a plan. So, like you said, when you're sort of at that field level, you might read something on Twitter. All of a sudden, you might think in your head, like, hey, where's Brent? I haven't seen Brent Grimes today.
Yeah.
And then you have to search him out. And even searching him out takes a little while.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, when I wanted to, I'm sure I was late to the party because I didn't realize till much later. I was like, oh wait, is Vita, you know, is he practicing?
Right.
And then I had to scan through like the 20 defensive linemen, and I'm like, okay, no, he's not there. And then I had to start scanning. Okay, where is he?
Because he wasn't on the field until later in the day.
Yeah, he came.
I think he and Grimes both did not come on the. And Hargreaves too. I don't think he showed up on the field until later. Although we say Hargreaves was actually practicing once he got there.
Yeah.
So that's good. So you saw you got out there Vita Vea, certainly in a boot. So don't expect him back is the idea. We'll keep track of it a week at a time, I guess at this point. Just check in with him and see check in on him and see how he's doing. So that is sad news. You would like to see that. Something that I noticed today while we're on the defensive line, and like I said, I went over to the defensive line position drills and stuff. One of the things, you guys, if you've been following various Buccaneers podcasts, including ours, one of those storylines I talked about that's developing is that what's his name? Will Golston is struggling this year.
The past 3 days he has.
Yeah. So far he's been struggling. Now that's not to say that this is going to carry forward. That's not to say that something is not going to happen where it's going to get turned around. But he was struggling again today. Yeah, and he was getting yelled at quite a bit. And by struggling, I mean he just couldn't block anybody. People were he
doesn't block people,
or he couldn't get by anybody.
Yeah, and he was getting like cockroached and pancaked sometimes.
Yeah,
when he loses bad. And it doesn't seem like he wins very many, if any. Most of them are like ties, which would go to the offensive line. Which would go to the offensive line.
Yeah.
But far too often it's just like, oh my God, what just happened there? Like who is that on the ground? Oh, it's Will Golston again.
Right.
Yeah.
So sad to report that. We'll continue to watch that and we'll see, as certainly the videos and various things come out. So Will Golston, he is going into, I was talking with Mark Cook about this earlier. I believe his salary for this year is guaranteed. So chances are he is going to be on this team.
Probably.
Unless they really just want to open up that particular roster spot for somebody else and they're willing to eat that money. I don't think that's going to be the case. But I believe it's next year we are free and clear of any of his contract stuff.
Yeah. And the good thing about it, and I've talked about this numerous times as well. Right now it's $6 million. And a lot of people were like, why are we keeping him? Get rid of him. He had such a bad year, but he had such promise going into last year.
Yeah.
And so far in training camp, if he doesn't pull his act together, even though it is guaranteed, like you said, they might just want to have that roster spot for a younger, cheaper player down the road. But another thing in Will Golston's favor, his salary gets cut in half next year. It's only $3 million. And then after that, it's $4 million. And then after that, it's like $5 million.
Yeah.
So he's under contract for including this year for next 4 years.
Yeah.
And the next 3 years are only, what did I say? 4, 5, 9, 12.
Yeah.
So you'll be getting him for 3 years for double what you're getting him for this year. So it becomes a really team friendly contract.
Right.
So if he can step out of this funk, he can, he have himself, he can make $12 million.
And truthfully, hopefully that really is all that's going on with Golston. I mean, I would prefer us to, you have players, you have people who are sticking around that you don't constantly have this revolving door.
Right.
That being said, there are going to be times with every player when they get into a rut, they get into a funk, and it's just what you got to, now you got to be better than Roberto Aguayo, and you actually eventually have to come out of that funk.
Can't believe you said his name.
I know. It's like the player who shall not be named, but in doing so, we just have to, I don't want to say we have to ride with him, but hopefully he comes out of it.
The door's not closed on Will Golston.
No, yeah. This is not, hey, he's had 3 bad days at camp, let's cut him.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
The door's not closed. It's just that it's surprising with someone with his experience that he, like we said, he's struggling.
Yeah. And I mean, it's truth be told, he didn't have a fantastic year last year. I don't think he had a horrible year, but it wasn't great.
Everyone regressed last year.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll tell you somebody who did pop out for me on the defensive line today. That it's not named Vin Curry, JPP, or Gerald McCoy, or Bo Allen, or Noah Spence. Or Stevie Tui Kolovatu.
Oh, let's hear this.
Was watching Stevie Tui Kolovatu, and Stevie, he's trimmed down a little bit. He's gotten rid of some of his hair. I remember watching him. A lot of it, all of it. But I remember watching him last year in camp and just going, there's a reason he was a 7th round pick.
Right.
And this year I'm like, he could have been like a 5th round pick.
There's a reason he got picked.
There's a reason he got picked. Yeah. There's a reason they redshirted and kept him around last year.
Yeah. Another good
and, point. Stevie, don't count Stevie T out I'm telling you,
especially with Will Colson struggling.
Exactly. Now they don't exactly play the same position.
That's true.
So,
but it's a numbers game. The defensive line.
Is a numbers game, and so when you start looking at your defensive line and who we have, you really have like one spot that's going to be available.
Yeah,
possibly two.
Right.
Don't count out Stevie T. I thought he looked good today. I watched him. He was sliding by some people in some of his position drills. There was a couple times he was going up against some of the ones on the offensive line, and he was holding his own. He was in there. So, as you say, in those situations, the ties always go to the offensive line.
Right.
So, so Stevie T, yeah, it was good, pleasantly surprised. Cool. So defensive line. Another defensive line guy though that I got to tell you was wait, which way was it? It was Jensen and Bo Allen who were going at it.
Thor and Barbecue King, Fat Thor and Barbecue King.
Did you put out this video? Like
where it says Fat Thor versus Barbecue King,
maybe
King Barbecue,
and one of them, like I want to say maybe it was Bo Allen. No, Ryan. Yeah, I think it was Bo Allen came in around Ryan Jensen and put his hand like on the back of Jensen's neck and pushed him into the ground.
I did not capture.
Was that that's what was in the video you got? Yeah, it was nasty. I mean, nasty. It's possible it was Jensen who did that to Bo Allen, but I don't think so. I'm almost positive it was Bo Allen who did that to Jensen.
Well, they're so hard to tell apart.
They really are.
Yeah.
Except for one had a red jersey and one had a white jersey. I just don't remember which order it happened in. But all of that to say,
Jensen is much more freckly.
It is true, but with the helmet on, you can't tell. But
you can because his arms.
Whatever. Okay, whatever. My point being,
not whatever.
My point being, it was a fun, like as a football fan,
it was fun to see.
It was very fun to see.
Yeah,
very very fun to see. And Noah Spence, gotta tell you, Noah Spence is they couldn't block him today.
No,
they really couldn't.
No,
I mean, if Noah Spence, you've got to wonder if Noah Spence, if his shoulder surgery the first time around had taken and done what it was supposed to do, how would last year have been different
for the whole team?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because he got 6.5 sacks with his shoulder in a harness.
Yeah,
his rookie year.
Yeah,
and then he was basically out the first game. So. Yeah, so we'll see. It's fun to sort of see those players that have sort of been forgotten, especially on this defensive line, where there was so much rotation and so many big names that were brought in, Super Bowl champions and NFL elite pass rushers that Noah Spence has sort of been overlooked. But once again, going back to Twitter, there was this. He did an inside move, which from what I've seen, the first, two of the camps I've been to so far, he's strictly been outside. And I put this tweet out, and it was like, oh yeah, did I tell you I was working on my inside move? And then the offensive tackle didn't even touch him. Yeah, like he took one fake step outside, back inside, and he was on the quarterback, and that's gotten a lot of play on Twitter, lots of retweets, lots of likes, and
so you guys go check that out at Ren_Daxt. REN_DAXT to see that video.
I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football.
What?
Yeah,
anyway, so that's defensive line.
Right.
Offensive line.
Before we get off the defensive line, I would like to say the first period of this 11-on-11s, the Bucs couldn't run the ball. Against the number one defensive line, it was futile to try to run against those guys. I mean, McCoy was of course back there. JPP was back there a few times. I saw Curry get back there. I mean, they were having extreme problems blocking those four guys, which is great and terrible.
Right.
At the same time.
Right. Well, I mean, okay, so here's a legit question. If our defensive line, our number one defensive line, is that good, how many other defensive lines across the league, or at least of the what is it, 11 teams that the Buccaneers are going to face this year?
Right.
How many of them are going to have defensive lines that are that stout?
See, we won't know that yet because like what I'm saying is the defensive line that good, or is the offensive line not as good as that we hope it's being, or we thought it was?
Right.
Because it wasn't even like, it wasn't a competition.
Now
that
sounds like, you know what that sounds like? Sounds like a good question for Coach Cutter tomorrow during our second media day access.
Yeah, let's ask him that. I'll ask him about injuries. I'll ask about injuries, fights, and
how good is your offensive line?
And what else does he hate? Those are the two things you just don't ask.
Ask him about Jameis Winston again.
Yeah,
do that one. All right.
I don't know if you've answered this question before, but I read on Twitter your quarterback, Jameis Winston, is James Churchill is out for the first 3 games, I think.
Maybe 4.
Yeah. How does that make you feel?
Right. Is training camp soft for you this year?
I think if I asked that question, I think Nelson Luis would like walk over and just
take your tags,
snatch it right off my neck.
All right. Anyway, getting on with that. So that's defensive line. Offensive line, let's talk about them for a little bit.
Sure.
Our good friend Derek from What the Buc was out today. He basically spent his whole day wandering around with the offensive line.
Right.
As he normally does. He is very, very apt to do that.
Yeah, he's figured it out. Like he has a plan every day. He has a plan. Like this is what I'm going to watch, and that's what he
does.
Which
is the offensive line every day. But
not entirely untrue.
Yeah. So I got to hang out with him a little bit while I was watching the offensive line. I kind of flitted in and out with some of the various things. But offensive line, got to watch some of those drills. I got to tell you, Allie is looking good. I thought Donovan is one of these things, getting to watch him up close and see him here in camp. When he's good, he's great. But when he's not, people blow by him.
Is he the little girl with the curl in the middle of his forehead?
I think that's Superman.
No, it's a nursery rhyme.
Little girl with a curl.
There's a little girl with a curl in the middle of her forehead, and when she's good, I don't know, but when she's bad, she's horrible. Anyway.
I have no idea what you're talking about. But
maybe you should have some kids, Brent. And you would or read to them. try reading to them.
Maybe I should read to my children. I do all the time. Anyway, so where was I? See, look,
I'm sorry.
I don't even remember where I was. What was I talking about?
We were talking about the offensive line.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Donovan Smith.
Yeah. Donovan, when he's good, he's great. When he's not, he's really not. And I don't know, it's hard for me to tell, like, what's different when you get into a full game situation with these guys versus, as they're just kind of running through the drills. Like, what's different when you get into a full game situation with these guys, especially the trench guys?
Yeah.
I like George Warhop. I understand watching him today why the players love him.
Okay.
They really do. But, he's not digging into these guys the same way that Buckner's digging in his guys. And there's not a whole lot of people, a whole lot of coaches that are digging into their guys the way Buckner digs into his guys.
Right.
But I don't know. It's just one of those things I sit back and I think, man, if you get into a live game situation, how does the intensity of this change? Because a lot of what they're doing as far as their drills go with the offensive line is they're doing things that it's the basics. It's here's where you put your hips and here's where your feet are, and
it's footwork and hand placement,
right? And it's just a lot of repetition. So it's you put your hands there and stop, And there was I saw a lot of what officials I'm sure would call holding today, and I mean seeing shirts grabbed and pulled and various things like that. So,
but you're allowed to do that if your hands are inside the shoulders.
If it's inside the shoulders, right? So,
maybe that's Will Golson's problem. His shoulders are too wide.
Maybe. So, so that was offensive line. You kind of touched on the receivers and quarterbacks. D-Jax. We haven't. I didn't see any huge plays out of him today.
Right.
I saw a couple out of Mike Evans.
Yeah.
I saw Mike Evans, and I got to tell you, somebody was asking earlier. I saw this out on Twitter of if Jameis isn't getting all these reps with the ones, and it's all Fitzpatrick. And now to be clear, the official word is what's happening is that Fitzpatrick is going with the ones, Ryan Griffin is going with the twos, and Jameis is bouncing and kind of rotating around with all three. And that means that obviously sometimes Griffin's going to be in with the threes as well. So with that, how does Jameis get how's the chemistry going to work come week 4? Like, what's that, if we're sacrificing all of that time now for Jameis to build that up, what's that going to look like come week 4? Well, I got to tell you guys, after watching it today and seeing it live, now this is my first time at camp this year. the chemistry between Jameis and Mike right now. Now, what this looks like, fast forward to the middle of September, might be a different story. But
yeah, of course.
Right now, let me tell you what, now Mike Evans is hard to miss, but the chemistry that we keep talking about between him and Mike Evans, it's still there. I mean, they are on point
between him and
Jameis Winston. Between Jameis and Mike Evans,
right. Yeah. It's almost sort of been talked to about nauseam, especially if you follow a lot, more than us at Buccaneer podcast. How good Michael Evans is looking. It's almost how I talked about how the defensive line destroy the offensive line in the run drills today.
Yeah,
like 11-on-11. That's how Mike Evans is with whoever covers him or gets near him. Like it's like they're not even there.
Yeah.
They're just out there in the backyard, just throwing the ball back and forth.
And this goes back to what we were saying earlier of having those kind of storylines that are just continuing. I mean, this was exactly what you've been saying in your last couple of episodes of the journal, that Mike Evans is dominating whoever, he's dominating whoever he is. And that's exactly what we continue to see today.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. More of the same, which is good and bad.
Right.
Because, I've said it, and I've started to hear other Buccaneer pundits say it as well. These first 3 games are going to rest on the defensive shoulders.
Yeah.
We know what Fitzpatrick's going to give us.
Right.
You're looking probably somewhere between 24 and 30 points tops.
Okay.
One of those games might be like 20. There's not going to be the offensive explosion. He's not going to win a game by himself with his legs. He's not going to win a game himself by his arms. He's not going to turn the ball over. But when you're
he also has the people around him that he can do something.
Yeah. He's got the tools. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's not a bum.
Right. But weapons for Fitzy.
That's nice.
It's going on the back of the t-shirt next time. Weapons for Fitzy.
But we talk about, well, every year, one team you don't expect gets better. One team you thought was going to be good go down. But we play 3 of them. And the chances that all 3 of these teams
that were really good last year are supposed to be good again this year
are off their game.
Yeah.
It's that's a little bit hard. I think it's too far of a stretch. So if the defense does not show up, it's going to be a rough ride for the Buccaneers opening these games. Yeah. And when you're seeing
but I'm sorry. If the defense does show up,
Fitzy can win the games for you without a doubt.
Yeah.
So
you guys heard it here, folks. Ren is predicting a 3-0 start to the season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 2018.
This freaking guy.
No.
What are the odds? What odds will you give me?
I don't know. I don't do odds. Never tell me the odds. Never tell me the odds.
Because I don't understand them.
Do I look like Spock? Never tell me the odds.
That's a Han Solo.
Pretty sure that's also Captain. I don't know. Whatever. We'll move on.
Han Solo. In the comments, please.
We're talking about training camp here. All right, Buccaneers. All right, here we go. So Mike Evans certainly. I mean, the rest of the receivers.
D-Jacks look good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But none of I don't think any of the players like the Martinos, the Watsons, the Reedies, like there wasn't sort of this dominant one side being dominant. You know, it's. I think I heard Dirk Curtis talk about it in his press conference. The first period seems to be this is their pattern. The first period, when it's like 11-on-11s, the defense dominates. The second period, when it's 11-on-11s, the offense dominates.
Right. But which is what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was balanced, but but today it was extremely defensive heavy on the first. Yeah. But to be fair, they were running the ball, and the defense knew they were running the ball because they ran it time after time, after time after time. They were installing run packages, and then trying them out. But when the offense, gets to air it out, the defense is having a real hard time covering them. But I will say they're getting to the quarterback. There would have been a lot of sacks today if they were allowed. There was I saw a safety blitz, and I saw a linebacker blitz, and I saw a cornerback blitz. So, he's mixing it up and
moving them around, right?
Yeah, and coming from all angles. So that's also good to see. And like this, what is this? Day 5 in camp,
right? We're still early, guys.
We're still
so early.
Yeah. So, basically, back what Vinny Curry said in his presser. we're going to be a totally different team we are next week than we are today.
Right.
And that's exactly what's going on.
Right. And that'll be interesting because we are just over 1 week away from our very first preseason game.
Yeah.
Which will be super fun.
Am I going to that?
Not unless you're traveling to Detroit.
Oh, yeah. That's a no.
But we will be watching it on TV. Hey, be on the lookout. We will have an instant cast following that game.
Yeah, we will.
We absolutely will. All right. So you have that. Ren, is there anything else that stood out to you as far as practice? Because I mean, I think it pretty much sums up everything that I personally saw in practice heading out today.
Carlton Davis did get a little time with the ones with Grimes out.
Okay.
It's, half the time I looked, well, I shouldn't say half. Most of the time I looked out there and they were in base. It was Hargraves and Ryan Smith. But interesting, Hargraves stayed on his side and Ryan Smith subbed in for Grimes instead of Grimes bouncing over and Ryan Smith playing his usual.
You mean instead of Hargraves bouncing over? Yeah.
Instead of Hargraves bouncing over and Ryan Smith playing his, usual right side corner. Yeah, right side corner. And then, of course, MJ Stewart was in the nickel. But then there was a few times I looked up there where Carlton Davis was out there running with the ones in base. So, the kids are getting their chance. And it looks like as far as that last linebacker spot that Sitchy's, making up some ground because he is, for the 2 days that I've seen, he's middle linebacker for the twos and coming from.
So beware Riley Bulla fans, huh?
Beware Riley Bulla and beware also maybe Devontae Bond fans.
Yeah.
Are
there Devontae Bond fans?
Yeah, I was
probably some.
I'm one.
Are you?
I was excited about his pass rushing ability when he came in. He hasn't really got there yet. He got some chances last year, but that was more of just because of injuries than anything else.
Interesting. I'll tell you one other player that flashed for me today. And I don't even want to say flashed because this was there was no flash in this. It was pretty significant the entire day. Mitch Unrein.
Really?
Probably the most unheralded free agent acquisition that we have had on this team. Nobody's talking about him.
Denied you an interview.
And we'll get there, but yes, I asked him and he said, no, I got to go in. And yeah. And Bo Allen was walking next to me, turned around and said, and you can't come in.
Nice.
And then he smiled at me and was like, I'm just messing with you.
You can't come in. What?
Oh, yeah, I'm coming. I'll meet you in the shower. No,
stop.
Don't do that. Anyway, but Mitch Unrein, man, he was looking so good today. So good. And he was blowing by. He was usually going up against like Beninock or Kappa or someone like that. But he was just blowing by him.
Right.
I mean, there was one spot where he did like a sweep move and didn't even touch him. He just got right around him.
Yeah.
So, I have not been excited about Mitch Unrein. I got to tell you.
We don't know anything about him.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is. Just don't know anything about him.
And now we know why. Hey, would you like the fans to know you?
It's because he really. I'm not going to base a man off of 1-2 second experience.
I do it all the time.
Everything I know about this guy is he just says, and you can sit back and go, maybe that's why we actually have heard nothing about him.
Right.
Is because he just, unless he's forced to, he just doesn't.
That is style.
Because he didn't have a press conference when he came in, an introductory press conference. I think he did one interview with Carmen Vitale, which was get to know the new Buccaneers, which you could almost imagine that was hey, you need to sit down and talk with her. Right. New guy.
Yeah.
So they could maybe force him to do that. But outside of that,
nothing.
They've not really talked to him.
Crickets.
Yeah.
Crickets.
So
I just want to get to this question real quick.
Oh, okay.
On
YouTube.
Thank you. YouTube Live. Brandon Fuller came in a little late and he asked about Godwin. Godwin was Godwin. Just as a recap, sorry if I'm repeating myself for people that have been with us since the beginning. But what was nice about today, they threw him the ball a ton. And he made almost every catch and he was open almost every time. I don't remember him dropping a ball. But today was a day when all those accolades that you've heard and every time his name's mentioned, everyone, has all these glowing reviews and nothing but nice things to say about him. Today was the day where you saw it on the field and he was, he was unstoppable. He was always open and always caught the ball.
Awesome.
So yeah, it was exciting to see. You know, it was like oh, okay, that's what everyone's talking about.
Right.
So
right.
It's fun to get to that.
So with that, man, why don't we go ahead and kind of transition to after practice? Now you said that you only kind of got to walk up towards the end of Dirk Cutter's press conference.
No, I just missed the first question.
Okay. But you said you kind of caught up with me because I was off trying to get some player interviews.
Yeah,
while you were there. Yeah. But you said that there weren't really a ton of people there.
I was shocked by that. Like when I got there, there was only 2 people that I recognized. And then the rest were cameras, you know, and then there was a couple other people sort of in the back, because when I went to training camp last year, all those pressers were
packed.
Yeah, they were packed. Yeah. They were packed. Now the space might be a little bigger, but that wouldn't have mattered. I mean, and I was a little shocked about the lack of media presence at Dirk Cutter's presser today.
Right.
Yeah.
So from what you did hear, you know, any good juicy nuggets that came out, or
you know
what
I can't honestly, and because here's the story. Here's what happened.
Here's the situation.
Here's the situation.
Parents went away on a week's vacation.
They
took the keys to the brand new Porsche.
What?
No.
I mean, it sounds familiar. What are we doing?
Yeah, it's parents just don't understand. Anyway, go ahead.
Is that by the BC Boys?
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or Fresh Prince?
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Same guy, actually.
Will Smith.
Sure.
Was he Fresh Prince?
He was Fresh Prince. Yeah.
First.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Summertime. We won't sing it. So I've been, talking on Twitter and DMing some people and, saying I'm getting my questions ready and all that. And sort of my plan was to hide in the back and this sort of shout, like have this, voice from nowhere, ask this thing. So, because I mean, here's the thing. I've been not 8 years old anymore.
No.
I've been a fan since the first year they've been in existence. Okay. Now I have the chance.
Math, folks.
I have the honestly, I don't say old because I don't know how old I am. I don't know if I'm 46, 47, 48. I really don't. And I would have would have to do the math.
Like, because like you're aware of the year you were born in, or you're just not aware.
No, I'm aware of the year.
Okay. Alexander Hamilton did not know the year he was actually born.
Who cares?
Historians.
Everyone who ever saw that Broadway show cares, and they know that, and you don't. I had the opportunity to ask the head coach of my favorite sports franchise of all time since I've been, before I was doing anything.
You get one question
besides walking and talking.
Yeah.
Well, I could have had more.
You could,
because there were so few people there. But we were told, like, straight up, like, don't hijack the interview.
Right.
Like the press conference.
Right. But we were also told participate.
Yes, we were. We were. Thanks for bringing that up. But look, guys, I got there and Cutter looked me dead in the eyes while he's answering a question, and I froze. I just and then more media people started to filter over, and they sort of took over and had their questions, and I was scared. I thought my question wasn't good enough. He knew that, hiding in the back,
he never would see into your soul.
But he looked at me and it was kind of like, who is this guy? He's never seen me before.
Right.
He sees the same faces, the same people we follow on Twitter, the same people there. He has a relationship with them, and now there's me.
Right.
And he's like, who's this guy?
Right.
And then Deshaun Jackson came up, and there was more people by then, and the interview went really quick, and I didn't have a great question for Deshaun Jackson, but when we got into, and I think this is probably why, like the beginning of the pod where I said this was my favorite part, when we got to actually when we got to talk to the referees, I got to ask a couple of questions. I finally plucked up the courage and asked a couple of questions, and after I got that out, I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
So I can guarantee you tomorrow, I will be asking one question to Dirk Cutter, and I'll be asking one question to whoever we get, because
if I let him go back to that,
I'm going. I don't care. I'll quit, because this is a bucket list thing for me.
Sure.
It really is. I mean, and I was when the dirt cutter press conference ended. You know, I talked to my, okay, I'll just ask one to Sean.
Yeah.
I'll be okay. I'll ask Sean. And then I didn't. And I felt terrible. Like I'm like, what, why, like, what just, like, what are you shrinking? Like, what just happened? Like, what?
You're that middle school kid on the wall at the dance wanting to ask that girl to dance. And
then she finally comes up and says, yes, I'd like to dance. And then I say no.
Right.
And then like, she walks away.
You're pretty. I'm running away.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what just happened? I cannot believe that just happened.
That happened to me.
So
yeah.
You're pretty.
That happened to me. You're pretty. I'm leaving now.
Just in case you know. But like I said, I sort of, you know, got the jitters out of my system, and you know, tomorrow's the day. So it's gonna happen. And but like I said, right after it happened, I felt terrible. Like I felt so small. I felt like, I mean, not only let myself down, I let you down. Not only let you down, I let all those people on Twitter down.
You let all our guys on YouTube right now.
Our listeners, our fans, and because I didn't ask the question, and people were like, you know, you're gonna do great. Like you're gonna ask great questions. I know you are. Like I really like your takes. Like you're gonna do great. And you know that, of course, that helped. But man, when rubber hit the road, I was just like, So there's your press conference.
So.
Both of them all wrapped up in one.
While you were over there not asking questions, I was out trying to grab players. And
Brent was actually doing work.
Well, wait for my story. So, you know, they said, hey, listen, as the players are coming off the field, they're kind of free game. Here are the players to avoid. Like, don't approach these players, but the rest of them are kind of free game. Here's a couple of them who've been doing a lot recently. So if you approach them, be it really short.
Yeah.
Do things really, really short. But, you know, it was just kind of go have at it. And I'm sitting over there, and like I was kind of one of the first ones over, and eventually Mark Cook came over and Jenna Lane was kind of over. And it's a little bit of the same thing. Like, how do I approach these guys?
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? Or, you know, like these guys don't know me. They don't know who I am. They don't know, you know, any of that kind of stuff. So, and I had, you know, like I said, I was trying to actually get Mitch Unrein. He was the one that I was kind of waiting on.
Right.
And they'd asked me, like, you know, our guys had asked, like, who do you want to talk to? I said, Mitch Unrein. Said, great. Try to grab him after practice.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you. Right.
Okay, we'll allow that. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Right. There was no like, he doesn't really talk to people, or, you know, and maybe
they're probably just watching from the back.
Right. Watch him. He's gonna go ask Mitch Unrein. Watch him. Watch him. Laugh at him. Look at the new guy. Look at the new guy. That big guy. That fat guy right there. Watch him. They're gonna make fun of him. They're gonna pants him. Watch him. So
they come back from the interviews all ejected, and Brent's taped to the goalpost. What just happened?
It's a hell of a lot of tape.
So we're still allowed to come back tomorrow, right?
So, I'm sitting there. I'm feeling like, what's the name of that dude in Office Space with the stapler? So it's maybe I don't know. I want to talk. And
he touched my stapler,
and I'm kind of watching. Oh, sounds dirty. I'm kind of watching with these other guys, and they're just kind of, you know, I felt like that middle school kid, like on the wall. I want to talk, but I don't. And all these other guys are just going right up and like, hey, let me, you know, pull you aside and talk to you here for a few minutes.
5 minutes. You have 5 minutes.
So, eventually, I look over and here comes
Allie
Marpet.
Okay.
Yes. What is Allie short for? Alexander, maybe.
Alibaba.
Maybe, I don't know. But here comes Allie, and Allie and I are about the same height. Okay. So like I'm looking at him like eye to eye. And
that's what the same height would mean.
Yeah, but it's I don't usually look at people. I'm a tall guy.
Right, yeah.
I don't usually look at people
that's
eye to eye.
For you.
But when I'm here with the players, I'm usually looking up at them. Or at least the ones that I tend to kind of gravitate towards, because I like the big guys, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking at him like, hey, Allie, can I talk to you for a minute? He just kind of looks at me, and like he gives me that like, I want to say, yeah, okay. And Allie's like a really nice guy.
Yeah, like
he really is. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, you said yes. So
I didn't think I'd get this far. I'm totally unprepared.
So how's it going? It's like, I'm good.
You're looking fit.
Yeah. So, you know, I said
the weather was good today, right?
I said, and I actually have this interview recorded. I said I was going to edit this out because this interview, I'll post this up on our Patreon feed. Patreon, being a patron has its membership benefits. Patreon.com. Thank you. Being a patron has its privileges.
Being a beauty has its privileges.
Oh my gosh. And if you guys want to find out more about that and how you can get involved, go to patreon.com/thepewtercast. Shameless plug. But I will post this up and you guys will hear how awkward I really was during this moment. But
I haven't heard it yet. I can't
me
wait.
in all my glory. It was just
I'm gonna play it on loop.
Oh my gosh. It was not okay. But it kind of to what you're saying, as soon as you get that first one out, it was okay.
Yeah, everything just melts away, and it's like, all right, okay, I do belong here.
Yeah,
Kinda
exactly.
like that first rep they talk about Allie, you know, like McCoy beat him, and the next rep, Allie held his own. It's like, okay,
I'm here. Right, exactly. So
let's go.
You know, I got to have a conversation with Allie, and you know, I have been saying on this show for a while now that moving Allie to the left guard is not just going to, it's not benefiting the center, just the center, because we've got Jensen in there. And Jensen is a clear upgrade in the center spot.
Yes.
It's not going to it's not just benefiting the left guard position because Allie is going to be a clear upgrade over the revolving door that we had last year.
Alan Decker's all in on the Pewty.
There we go.
No, he's
kidding.
Not. Yeah. He's totally against it.
Thank you, Alan. Stay that way. But it's also going to help Donovan because of the relationship that he and Allie have.
Right.
And I think we'll see an improvement in what we have going on the left side of the line.
Right.
The right side of the line is still a little question mark to me. It's a little sketch. And that's mostly because we didn't know what was going to happen at the right guard. It does appear now that it's Caleb Benenoch. It's his job to lose.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Well, the question, that would have been a great question today, Ren.
It really would have, but didn't get asked. Tomorrow, there's always tomorrow. The sun will come out tomorrow.
Almond asked a little bit about him, I think, on the back end. It was hard to hear the questions, honestly.
Is it really? Because it's hard to hear it on the video. It's hard in real life.
Easier on the video.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you're like right up there, which of course I wasn't.
Right. Because he was hiding in the back. So
I had no cover whatsoever, just like standing there.
Right. So I asked Allie about that.
Yeah, about being next to Donovan.
Yeah, about being next to Donovan. And well, actually, the first thing I asked was, I said, hey, Allie, did you ask to go to the left side? When Cutter and Light sat you down and said, hey, we're going after Jensen, we'll probably move back to guard. Did you ask? And he said, no, he didn't. So there's my theory shot in the foot. It actually, according to what he said,
I don't think you understood what I asked.
Right. You're supposed to support my narrative here.
Wrong answer, Allie.
But he said what they said was, hey, we're looking at going after Jensen.
Right.
That's what they said. We're pursuing Jensen. And if we get him, we will move you to the left side.
Okay.
Like they just laid the plan out for him. And Allie is such a team player. Like he's so, hey, awesome. Got it. Let's do that.
Yeah. It's almost like he doesn't want to be bothered.
Right. But it's not even that he's not bothered.
Okay.
No, but it's not that. It's not, okay, whatever. It's awesome. Let's do it. Like it's the other side of that.
That's fair. That's
fair.
Know. And probably more accurate.
It was because I saw the twinkle in his eye.
Because I was actually talking to him.
You know, but he said that him moving over to the left side was totally their call. He had zero input into that.
Okay.
But I did ask him, I said, you know, how will your relationship impact this left side of the line, and at least anchoring the left side of the line? And what he said, I typed it out here. He said he thinks it's going to be huge because his relationship with Donovan is going to be huge. And he said, you kind of want to get to a point where you don't have to talk. And he said, we're kind of actually able to do that. I know when he's going to be thick on stuff and when he's going to be loose. And, you know, they're able to.
Do you ask him what that meant?
I have no clue what that meant. So I was just sitting there going, oh, I'm interviewing him and this is great. And wait, is it getting good on the recording? But, you know.
And he's giving like his mom's brownie recipe and you're just like, yeah, this is great stuff.
This is amazing. This is great. I can't wait to talk about this. But, you know, it's just one of those things. And he referenced that. And he talked about just the being familiar with each other because they've been together. They've been in the system. This is both their fourth year going into the system. They both know the system really well. And let me tell you what, guys, I have long been on the defense of Donovan Smith train. I am more on that train now than ever, just based off this little 2.5-3 minute conversation with Ali Marpet.
Right.
Because if we bring in another left tackle, guys, that's a guy who's going to have to learn the system. He's going to have to learn the ropes, and it's more time. Donovan's already there. And I think we're going to see I predict a breakout year for Donovan Smith.
He just got to be more consistent.
Yeah.
Like you said, like at the opening, you know, like when he's good, he's really good.
Yeah.
Like he's dominant. It's like, wow, he is strong and agile and great
and
feet.
You can't get past, he'll shut people down.
Yeah. And he just locks them up. Right. And then the next play, it's like, who are you?
Right.
Like what just
right. So I think, you know, having this consistency there on the left side, I think that's really going to help. And I think exactly what I've said is true. Now I did ask him because a lot of fans are still out there. And guys, that's what I feel like our job is. I can't speak to the rest of the media guys, but I feel like our job is to know what the fans are talking about and ask the questions on part of the fans.
Yeah.
On behalf of the fans. And one of the things that I keep seeing out there, and it drives me crazy, but I asked it for you guys anyway, is if something happens to the right side, will they move Allie back to the right side? People seem enamored with this idea of Allie going back to the right side.
And it's just like, what are you talking about?
Why would you do that? And I asked him, I said, you know, if something were to happen, a lot of people out there are asking this, is there any chance of you moving back over to the right side? And he said to me, he's like, look, it's out of my hands. If they tell me to go to the right side, I'm going to the right side. And I asked him if he had to make that transition in game in a snap, how hard, because that's one of the things we talk about. Why do you not do that?
Right.
Because you get muscle memory, you open up your hips, you turn a certain way.
Everything's opposite.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden you got to unlearn that and do that on the other side. And what he said was, and I thought this was really encouraging. This does not help my narrative, by the way. So I'll leave this out there for you guys. But what he said was, if he has to, he'll be fine. The difficult thing in switching is getting your hips to open up, which is what I just talked about, right? He said, but playing center means you have to do both. And given the play, you could go either way. And so by him actually playing center last year, that helped him in this moving to left and right. So
you think that was the idea the whole time?
No, I don't. No, but I think it's an added benefit. I think it
shooting down my narrative.
Sorry, but
I'm sorry your narrative didn't work out, Brent. But Jesus.
But you know, so you know, should something happen, I don't anticipate Allie moving back. Allie doesn't really anticipate himself moving back, but he's not asking those questions.
Yeah,
he's. I mean, when you talk about a guy
up to work and go like,
where you want me, coach?
You're playing left guard. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that is Ali Marpet to a T. And I would venture to say that's most of these players. You know, when we talk about a guy like maybe a Keith Tandy, like, hey, Keith, you're not getting in the game a whole lot. And he's like, look, you know, maybe that's frustrating, but I'm just here to do whatever they need me to do. He's getting paid. So, you know, I mean, sure, he wants to play.
And the best thing about Keith Tandy, you know, and I know I keep saying this, I got to quit saying it, but I've said it in previous podcasts, is, you know, the best thing about him is he's a pro.
Yeah.
So when he's ready to go, like
he's ready to go.
He's ready to go. And he's ready to go to either safety position.
Right.
Right. But there's and a lot of fans are like, well, why isn't he starting? He had that great 5-game stretch.
Sure.
But this will be his third defensive coordinator. He's only played for the Bucs his whole career.
Right.
And
this is his 6th year, I think, in the league.
Third defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And he hasn't cracked the starting lineup yet.
Yeah.
So I mean, and even with that Hall of Fame 5-game stretch.
Right.
You know, so yeah, so that's just sort of where Tandy lies. But but you know, the league is chock full of those guys, and your team is not a team, and your team can't be a team without those players.
Right.
You know, and the better players that you have in those positions, like a Keith Tandy, those when you do get an injury, the shelf that falls off isn't nearly
is sharp. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, but I like guys like that. You know, they're going to show up to work. They're going to do what the team asks them to do, and they're not going to worry about it. You know, so wherever they want to play, you know, and you know who I get the feeling about that with a little bit too, at least this year, maybe even more so than last year, is D-Jax. Wherever they're wanting him to play. Yeah, you know what I mean. He'll do whatever. He really will.
He might have been like that last year.
Yeah,
but they just didn't put him anywhere else.
Sure.
You know,
right.
You know, but yeah, I'll admit I thought he had sort of, and remind me after this, I want to get some of these YouTube questions. That I felt he had sort of a diva attitude. Like that was around if you weren't an Eagle fan.
I think he comes with that aura.
But he's been nothing but the ultimate professional, like
pros pro.
Yeah, you know, exactly. he's respectful in the interviews, you know, answers the questions, and I've never
he enunciates.
You know, he's never I've never heard anyone have a problem with anything Djax has done or his workout. Like, he's been nothing but an exemplary player in person since he's been here. And that's not what I thought we were getting when we got him.
Yeah.
You know,
pleasantly surprised. Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah,
so,
pleasantly surprised.
The one other interview that I had today was with Mike Evans. It was a really, really short one. This one was more fun. I got to be honest with you. This was more, I don't want to say this was the fanboy in me. It was the trying to give them something they don't always get asked, kind of a question. And you guys may also know that I'm involved with another podcast that is a Harry Potter based podcast. And Mike Evans is a very big Harry Potter fan. To the point he has tattoos, Harry Potter tattoos on his body. And so I went and asked him. And this one was way easier than Ali Marpet's because I broke the ice, right? As I said, hey Mike, let me ask you a question real quick. Just got one question. He's like, yeah, cool. What's up, man? And I said, which Hogwarts house would you be sorted into? And he looked at me and goes, Gryffindor. I said, okay, why? He's like, because I'm like Harry. You know, he's a little mischievous, gets in a little bit of trouble, but you know, at the end of the day, I'm a good guy, good moral focus guy. And I said, you mean like you're what? How did they put it in the book? I said it great when I was with him.
I was really on. I was very proud.
No, I was straight in it. You mean you have a certain disregard for the rules? And he's like, oh yeah, sometimes, not always, but yeah, sometimes.
Just enough not to get me in trouble.
Right. You know, and I remind him, say, hey, you know, today's Harry Potter's birthday. He's like, oh yeah, I knew that as well. And he's like, really? Yeah. He's like, today. He's like, in fact, today Harry would be 30 something. He's like trying to do the math in his head. Really? Yeah. Wow. And today is Harry Potter's birthday. It's also J.K. Rowling's birthday, the author of Harry Potter. So she gave her lead character her own birthday. Fun fact.
Narcissist.
Yeah. I just happen to know exactly how old Harry is because in the fictional world, he was born in the same year that I was.
Sure.
So Harry Potter and I would have been 55. Classmates had we not that old.
54.
Yes. So anyway, so I got to have that little thing. Again, I'll put that interview also up on the Patreon feed for our patrons to be able to go and listen to as well. If you guys want to do that, jump over there, patreon.com/pewtercast. For as little as $1 a month, you can become a patron. I don't know if that gets you access to that one, though. You check out the tiers, you'll find out. All right. So that was pretty much the interviews, man. That was and then I just kind of afterwards, I just sort of milled around for a little bit and eavesdropped on different things and kind of there's a little bit of I'm going to see how the other media people do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like let's just see how this works.
Right.
And get a feel for what's right, what's
That's what I did.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. There you go. So after that, I guess kind of moving forward, we'll go ahead and kind of round the corner on this whole thing. We came back in, we hung out in the media room for a little bit. Everybody's kind of typing up their articles and their stories and stuff. But we did have the officials here. We talked about that. Sean Hockley was here and we got to go in. Rule changes. You said this was probably like your favorite part of the day?
Yeah, because like I said, it was because I got to ask the question. Well, we got to sit in the auditorium.
And we did. Yeah, we were in the big auditorium, big comfy chairs.
There's comfy chairs.
Yeah.
Which have a little switch in the bottom. You can kick them back like a lazy boy about. And, we got to watch the video and it just.
That's a big screen, man.
Yeah, it is a big screen.
That's a bit like I could watch a movie in there. No problem. That'd be fun.
No problem. You could do that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Let's go watch it on the big screen. I'm okay with that one. Okay. I don't need anything bigger. That's good. Fine. I'll watch it on your 40-foot tall screen.
I'll do it.
Right.
But everyone knows who. Well, most people know who Ed Hockley is. He just recently retired
this offseason. I think, right?
Yeah. He was the referee with the big guns, and he'd always, if you can see this on YouTube, he'd always like sort of punch his hand into his fist to his hand and then turn and go first down. It's just like, so everyone who sort of knows who Ed Hockley is. They're telling his son that he signs autographs all the time, and they've never seen anything like it. And I'm sure his son knew that since he's been in the league and first off he's his son, but he's also been an official in the NFL for like 6 years. But I guess the last thing, since we talked about it earlier, about what I liked about it in the video and all that sort of thing, we'll give a little update on what Ed Hockley's up to right now. He's out in Colorado in his RV and he's fly fishing for trout out in the river. And that's what he's doing.
Yep. So breaking news, Bucs fans, Ed Hockley, a guy that I'm sure you guys have all been wondering about since this offseason. Right. He's doing a little bit of fly fishing.
Right.
He is still consulting with the league, though.
Is he?
He is. Yeah, they mentioned that. He is still. Yeah, his son said he is still a consultant with the league. So maybe he could slide into that Mike Peoria spot, or I don't know that Mike Peoria is going anywhere, but you could see a situation where they bring in. We have not heard the last of Ed Hockley.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. So we go in a couple of the rule changes that they got in. The three that kind of stood out to me.
Sure.
Is there's a new the helmet rule, which will lead to ejection pretty quick. Yeah, and we'll jump into that one. The other one is they said they're putting an emphasis and a focus this year on contact between a defensive player and a receiver after the 5 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Right.
And pretty much any non-incidental contact between the two, you're going to get a passing interference call, and it could go defensive, could go offensive, depending on who the violator is.
Right.
But
I don't think that one's going to stick.
You don't think so? They say they're putting an emphasis on it.
But they said it last year. And I think they said it the year before that too. Yeah. I'm just saying.
This is the first time I was ever in the room with them, hearing them talk about it. So, but you might be right.
Yeah. No, I am right.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Mike Evans is an elite receiver.
Yeah.
He is an elite receiver. Right. But the other one is with they're going to focus more on the whistles as well, particularly with the running game. When a runner's forward motion is stopped,
right,
they're going to all forward progress. Thank you. Is stopped. They will all start blowing the whistle and blow the play dead. And this is in an effort to keep people safe. And we'll go. I have concerns about that, which I addressed with the officials, and they, hey, we got to both ask a question. High five.
High five.
And they addressed that back, and I think it was actually I brought up a very real point that they are also concerned about, but we'll get to that. So helmet on helmet rule, or not even helmet on helmet, the helmet rule. They're really cracking down on using your head as a weapon.
Right. But they've changed the wording.
Okay.
The wording used to be can't use the crown of your helmet as a weapon.
Right.
And you can't. And then of course there was never you could do helmet to helmet.
Right.
Now it is you can't lower your head
right
as a weapon, which means you can't lower your head as a tackler, but as you're a runner, you can't lower your head, or receiver, running back, you can't lower your head just to break through a line.
Be like a battering ram or something.
Or break through a tackle.
Yeah.
Now, if you're shelling up and your head comes down, if you're trying
to protect yourself, they'll be okay with that.
They're okay with that. And that is bang, super gray.
Yeah.
Like this is going to be.
Yeah. And the very first question was asked, and I don't know who, it was a guy who was sitting in front of us. He said, please tell me that you guys are really not going to eject guys so easily, because it really made it sound like if you do this, you're out. And and we're going to see a lot of ejections this year. And Bucs fans, football fans, I would say brace yourselves. We really might see a lot of ejections this coming year. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see. But it's possible that we could see that.
Agreed.
But he did say when they asked him the question, they're not just trying to throw guys out. It's really they have to judge intent, which is going to be very hard. But he's like, that's the job of the official.
Right.
That's our job. And did you intend to use it as a weapon? And that's, they're like, we heard the word incidental. They let incidental things go.
Right.
But it's if you meant to do it, that's when they're going to flag you. And obviously all of those things will be reviewed from New York. So it's not just the official here at the stadium making that call, but
no, all the ejections.
The ejections. Yeah. That's
all the ejections will be reviewed in New York.
So yeah. And I thought you had a good question about that, about, is it just the crown, or could it also be your forehead or the side of your head, or
because it's using the helmet as a weapon.
Right.
And like I said, the language has changed. It used to be the crown of your helmet.
Right.
And so I was saying, well, it's such a bang play. A lot of times if one person is starting to go down to use the lower their head, but before he actually gets his head down, and they make contact. So what I asked was, is the front of the helmet in play, and sort of is the side of the helmet in play as using it as a battering ram or as a weapon? And he didn't really have a good answer.
No, his answer was, if you lower your head and use it as a weapon.
Yeah.
That's their litmus test. If you lowered your head and used it as a weapon. And I think the other side of that is
the script.
Have control of your body. you as a player, you have to have, and that was a lot of what they were saying is there's a little bit of, or a lot of this that is, if you hit a player and you don't need to, if you have a clear path and you have another option other than hitting a player and you choose not to,
using your helmet to hit a player.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because there are sometimes where like you're moving in to hit a player and they have a ball and then all of a sudden they go down,
right?
And you're already in that motion. If you have a chance to stop that, you have to stop that, or they can
pull up,
yeah,
or jump on top of the pile instead of going in head first.
Yeah. Something's got to be different there. So
it was basically they're trying to take the viciousness out of the game, and he must have said this is for safety like 30 times,
right? And they definitely emphasized it. The point of this is for player safety. It's not
safety first, safety first.
Which good on the NFL for trying to do something, because they certainly take a lot of crap for not caring much about player safety. So at least they're making a show of it. We'll see what happens.
They're making a
the wide or the defensive and offensive passing interference plays calls. That seems like we might. Those calls are probably some of the most frustrating calls for me as a fan. I hate passing interference calls. I understand why they exist. They just bug the ever loving snot out of me of them. You get a push off. I just let the guys play.
Yeah, but see, then that line would always get pushed back. What I found interesting, the pass interference call, is now you can't use your body and the boundary, which as a defender.
Oh, that white part.
No, as a defender, like you can't use your body to cut the receiver off. Sort of like get in front of him and hit the brakes, and the only place he has to go is out of bounds. Like, or you can't sort of give him a shoulder and start to take away his path that he has. So if you're running neck and neck with a receiver and you start to squeeze him towards the sidelines, and it gets to the point where he runs out of real estate, that could be a defensive pass interference call.
That could do it. That could certainly do it. So we'll see. Brace yourselves, football fans. I think we'll see a lot more passing interference calls. The last one really is the forward motion, the forward progress.
Oh, with the quarterback?
For anybody, for any runner. If even a running back, if their forward progress is stopped, they will blow the whistles to blow the play dead to prevent people from jumping into the pile,
right?
Essentially. And the question that I had for Sean Hockley was,
squirt out there under the pile.
Yeah, a fumble could happen, and his answer was, "That's a real thing."
Yeah, exactly.
And we're just gonna have to deal with that.
That's why I get paid.
Yeah, he's like, that's what we do as officials, though.
Yeah,
and so it's. I mean, he didn't really answer the question, but I mean, I think that's one of those things. If you're going to have this rule and this is the way it's going to be, that is a real possibility, and that is a downside of having this rule. But still, having this rule that will protect people is better, and you'd rather deal with that fallout than otherwise.
Right.
So.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully we don't see too many plays this year because I know at least one off the top of my head I can think of last year. There was an integral play where the referee in Raymond James, the referee blew the play dead too early. And it would have been a big play for us.
Are you talking about the one where he fell when we were trying to spot the ball?
No.
Remember that?
No. Yes, I do. No. This was I don't remember exactly which one it was. I don't remember what game it was, but I remember the thing. I know what you're talking about. That was shady. Anyway,
it's an accident.
So that's allegedly. I mean, that's really about it for the.
There's one more that I thought that we should point out. Now, if during a sack, if the defender lands all his weight, or it's apparent that it looks like he's trying to put all his weight on top of the quarterback as he goes down, it's a penalty. So as they're going down, the defender is going to have to either shift his weight or he's gonna have to make sure all his weight, or when he goes down, he puts his arms out, and stops himself from landing on the quarterback.
Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting, because all the clips they showed were 350-pound defensive lineman landing on the quarterback. So I asked him, is that for everybody? Is there a weight limit? Even if a cornerback, somebody like Vernon Hargraves, who goes $165,
would you get penalized for doing the same way that I would?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of like the hack-a-shack. It's like, Shaq's so big he's fouled all the time, but it's kind of unfair. So just let it go.
Right.
Yeah. So, and he said, he said it doesn't matter the size, which which I think is the rule. I don't think it's going to be called like that at all.
Right.
I think this is going to be that rule is going to be very much an optics rule.
Right.
It has to be. But the worse it looks, and unfortunately, the bigger you are landing on a quarterback, fortunately for the defense, I guess, then the more you're susceptible to getting this penalty called on you.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right, Ren. I think that's going to wrap us up. We certainly have been here. I know you said you had some questions you wanted to pull out of the YouTube chat. Once again, shout out to everybody who is joining us. I've been watching those numbers over there. They've been kind of going up and down. So hello to everybody who is still joining us.
I can't even see.
You can't see it. I can see it. So hello to everybody who is still with us. Hello to the new people and those of you who left us. It's been a long video. I understand. But you can definitely make sure you catch the podcast feed here, which should be going up shortly after we're done here.
Well, okay. I'll get to one. Brandon Fuller, who he said he wanted to ask about Godwin, got on a little late. He was actually the guy that recognized my voice at the What the Buc tailgate. Remember that time I told you? Yeah. I was like, I got recognized at the tailgate.
There you go.
Yeah, that was him. So he just stopped in, wanted to thank me because I gave him a shout out last time on one of the pods.
Cool. Shout out Brandon.
Yeah. Once again, Alan saying that yes, it's a great idea. Pewdie, ha ha ha. No, he said no. But right after that, Antonio has said Pewdie is a great nickname.
No, it's not.
And then he asked, will we be working as media on Saturday or as fans? Is Saturday open? What's
Saturday is open. That will be the stick carry takeover day.
Okay.
And we will be here not as credentialed media unless that gets extended.
Right.
But we will both be here.
Which we'll probably ask for. Maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see.
I think we will ask, or at least plant a seed. Say please.
Can I just keep this and then change the date and come back every day?
A little bit of alcohol, I can rub it off.
Yeah. So tomorrow's the last day, and probably for now. Tomorrow's the last day for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
About us being credentialed media, and then Antonio also asked, Thursday is listed as a mock game on tickets instead of open practice. Will the whole thing be indoors? Any news on how it will be different from normal sessions?
No. From what I understand, I think mock game is only available to club members and higher. I don't think it's a full open thing. I might be wrong.
Well, there's 2 mock games, if I remember correctly, this year.
There's a mock game and then there's a premium member walkthrough.
No, I think there's
another mock game.
I think there's 2 mock games.
So I don't know. I don't have any details on that. I know it's happening in the morning.
I don't know if it'll be inside or outside. My guess is that the entire practice is going to be a mock game. Yeah. Like offense versus defense, 4 downs, you get a first down, you keep going down, you score, you kick. It's a scrimmage.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to do the entire practice.
Sure.
That's my understanding of how that's going to go. Right. And actually, I'm really looking forward to that.
I got to tell you, if we were to extend our media credentials, because I'll be here for that day as well, I would rather almost extend to that day, and have this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday run. I think. Anyway, I'd rather extend it forever, which we'll work on that. Hey, listen, if you guys have enjoyed the extra insight that you guys have been getting from us here at the Pewtercast, tweet the Buccaneers and tell them thank you for credentialing some of your favorite Buccaneer fan podcasters. You never know.
Start a petition. Storm the castle. Get the pitchforks.
Have fun storming the castle.
Get the pitchforks.
All right. We got any other questions or because we got to wrap this up, man. This is
these are our people.
These are our people, but they're going to start knocking on the door here soon.
Oh, that's a good point. What time is it? It's like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Alan's just waiting for us.
Yeah.
Okay, this few. I'm skipping that one, Brandon. Someone came in to ask if we missed the pod. No. Well, yes, you have. But we'll be ripping the audio and putting it out on our on our podcast as always. And a couple people said thank you for look at this. And I quote,
I swear if this is about the Pewdies, I'm muting.
Thanks for answering the questions. ! Pewdie for life.
And that was Ren Daxt here.
Hello. Let's get out of here.
Pewdie for life. All right, guys. So with that, Ren, we'll go through the wrap ups. Where can people find you out there on the internet, along with all the cool videos and everything that you put out today?
The best and easiest way is always to find me on Twitter at Rendaxt, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football.
Which, by the way, is on the back of these very cool new Pewtercast shirts that we have.
Yeah, I'll be wearing mine tomorrow.
There you go. I will not, because we are not twins.
Hard to believe.
If you guys want to find me personally, you can find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. If you want to follow the show, you can find the show at the Pewtercast on Twitter, at facebook.com/Pewtercast. Find us at youtube.com/C/the Pewtercast. Guys, we did it. Thank you to everybody who has been subscribing to the YouTube channel. We got above that magic 100 number, so we were able to claim that URL. There is that little weird C in the middle. I don't know why I couldn't take it out, but it is definitely a lot easier to just be able to say youtube.com/C/the Pewtercast. You guys keep subscribing, keep coming back to the YouTube channel and subscribing. Lots of engagement, lots of interactions happening since we've started this YouTube thing, which has been very cool.
The more we think about it, like the more I would so much want to like punch both of us right in the face
for not doing it sooner.
For not doing it sooner, like really.
Yeah.
I mean, so, it's just been sitting there.
Yeah, and you guys, listen, we will continue. Ren and I will continue. We're working on this YouTube thing. We'll provide a better experience for you guys. For those of you who like the YouTube channel,
get used to this.
This would be nice, except maybe it just says Pewtercast back there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So, that's what we should do with the tapestry, is have it bound. Anyway, we'll get there. You guys are awesome. Be sure to follow the show. We'll put this up on the podcast feed as well. But if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, then, well, you already know that. Be sure to like and subscribe to us across any of the things, share things. Patreon, let's see, what is any other housekeeping?
Let's get out of here, man.
All right, let's get out of here. All right, we'll wrap this up. As always, guys, go Bucs, as we stop the broadcast.